That question actually goes right to the core of the initial vision for Universal Audio. So back when my brother and I were looking to restart the company in 1998, there's these great divisions, these almost philosophical battles between analog and digital, where the people who were all analog just wouldn't get along with the people who are all digital. It was just, these kind of endless battles. And my background is electrical engineering and digital signal processing in particular. And I was very interested in signal processing. My brother runs an all analog recording studio with analog console and tape, and he was very much on the other side. And I realized that there was no reason that all the criticism people had for digital, it'd be sanitary, doesn't sound good, doesn't have the character, the warmth that analog does. There was no reason that that had to be true. That was the state of the art in 1998. The vision was to bring that great heritage and the character and all that, what we loved from great analog recordings that we grew up listening to, and bring that to digital. So that was really the mission from day one. Well, my father has inspired me, I think, at every step of my life, and I think it started with music. It's because with him, it really all starts with music. He was technical, he was a recording engineer, he built studios, but at the end of the day, he would always say his favorite people are musicians. He started off as a boy singer singing on the radio, he played piano. Only after he passed away did I learn that he had some songwriting credits with Duke Ellington. So, music was everything to him. So when I was very young, I was listening to great music and great sound without even knowing it. Whenever they'd have people over for dinner, my parents would have friends over, and it would always end up in his office playing the phonograph way too loud, shaking the house, waking up my brother, but that was just kind of what he was about. And he'd also took me to a lot of great live music. So I think when I was maybe 4 years old, and I actually remember it, he took me to see Duke Ellington Orchestra, and we were in the front row, right in front of the saxophone section. And I can still almost hear what it sounds like, the live band, a big band with the horns when the saxophones come in, or maybe the trumpets muted. It's just a sensation unlike anything else, and I grew up listening to that. And I grew up listening to the sound in the studio as well. I just know what it sounds like to be in the control room and bring up a set of mics, just hearing the ambience of a really wonderful room. And without even knowing that I was experiencing this, I was experiencing, great sound, and it just kind of became, part of who I was. And so, first off, he inspired me and gave me a love of music. And he did that for both myself and all the children have, in one way or another, been involved in the music industry. And then I'd say more than the audio side, my dad in his early career was a chief engineer at a radio station.
I got my van with the top rolled down, just enough gas to get me to Salinas. Thought I had an easy hit and run, but the cops blew out my plan. Away, my Cali girl, you're breaking my heart. Take me away. I'll never make it home without you. I'll never make it home without you. It's midnight and the fog rolled in. I got the heat full up, but I'm freezing my ass off. I can't stop to put the...
So first of all, it starts with deciding what plugin we want to develop. So that actually is an important part of it. And so we listen to our customers, and then once we figure out which plugin we're developing, it goes into finding a great sample of the piece of gear, and that's sometimes incredibly hard. A lot of the gear we want to model is just hard to put your hands on, and when you get it, it isn't in good condition, or it's been modified, and it isn't exactly what you want to model. And then we do a lot of research to learn about how it was used, what kind of effects, what aspects to its sonics are the most important, which ones were undesirable, which are desirable. So we learn a lot about it before we even start modeling it. And then we get it, we use it, we record through it, and we get comfortable with it. And then we start the technical side, which starts with both looking at the schematics, when available, taking measurements and so on, and we then approach it scientifically and try to build a model. And what we do is actually model what goes on inside. We'll write down the mathematics, we'll write down the equations that describe the circuit, and then we'll implement signal processing to implement those equations. So even if you get that right, even if there was an aspect to the piece of gear that you didn't expect or you didn't know about, it should just do the right thing if you get the equations right. And a lot of times that'll be the case. We'll model something like on the 1176, the all button trick, where you push on all the buttons and you get that kind of slamming sound, was not something we specifically had to model. We just got the underlying equations right. When you treat the unit just like you treat the real unit, it just does the right thing. And it can take, you know, more than a year or sometimes multiple years for some of the harder plugins. And we really have a philosophy that we want to get it right. We want it to be the best. And as a result, it can take a very long time. So we do the development, and our engineers will work, usually a single algorithm engineer focused on the product. They'll work with product management. Eventually they'll say, well, I have something close, we'll listen to it. And they'll say, oh, no, it's not right. Listen to this drum sound, or when you hear the snare, you just hear a little bit of the attack different. And then we'll go back and we'll try to figure out what was wrong in our model and try to fix that. And we'll do that iteration for months, and then finally get to a point that we think that's it, we nailed it, and then we'll get it ready, you know, on the UAD and on the Apollo. So it can be a very long process. At the very shortest, it's a year. So it's not as fast as some, but we demand everyone to be the best. Yeah, well, actually, you mentioned Sinatra, and Sinatra is important because that's how my dad met my mom. My mom was Frank Sinatra's secretary, and Sinatra, my dad recorded Sinatra for years, and in fact, Sinatra is the reason my father came out to California. He was in Chicago. Sinatra wanted to do more recording in LA, so he said, you need to come out to LA, and my dad said, okay. So that's what got my dad out to California, and that's how my dad met my mom. I already mentioned Duke Ellington, who I got to meet when I was young and knew growing up. Went to Bing Crosby's last recording session. I actually worked in the studios after my dad sold them to Alan Sides, Ocean Way Recording, and I was there for Ella Fitzgerald and saw her sing. So I did get more than my share of just some classic, wonderful music. And as I said, being exposed to great music has really kind of changed who I am and really makes this industry so special. Yo quiero viajar a la España cuando puedo. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
I'll never make it home without you. It's midnight and the fog rolled in. I got the heat full up, but I'm freezing my ass off. I can't stop the Putnam Jr.